Sir, nearly 50 participants have joined. Shall I start?
आप देख लीजिए जैसा भी हो, मतलब क्या
जी
प्रैक्टिस और लोगों का इंतजार करेंगे या
क्योंकि सर 3 मिनट हो गए हैं।
ओके, तो ठीक है जैसा आप चाहें।
सर मुझे लगता है मैं शुरू करना चाहिए, फिर पार्टिसिपेंट्स आ रहे होंगे तो वो
ओके,
अपना आते रहे। जी जी बेहतर। डियर पार्टिसिपेंट्स, welcome to the final day of this training program. And it's my honor to introduce Professor Furqan Qamar Sahab, who currently served as the Chief Advisor to the Honorable Chancellor of Integral University, Lucknow. He is a veteran educationalist, having served as Vice Chancellor of the University of Rajasthan, Jaipur, and was the founding Vice Chancellor of the Central University of Himachal Pradesh, Dharamshala. As the former Secretary General of Indian Association of Indian Universities, New Delhi, which is a more than 100 years old organization, and the apex organization related to university associations in India. Professor Qamar has shaped educational policy and governance at the highest level. With an illustrious career in higher education spanning leadership, policy making, and academic administration, Professor Qamar has played a pivotal role in shaping the disclosure on quality, equity, and governance in Indian universities. His deep insights into institutional development and educational policy have earned him national recognition and respect across academia. Today, he will be addressing on leadership, management, and governance, the ethical perspective. Uh, so please join me in welcoming Honorable Professor Furqan Qamar Sahab. Sir, thank you very much. You have, I'm aware you are traveling, but still you managed to secure time for us. Thank you very much, sir, and you are requested to continue. Please.
thank you very much, Dr. Zishan Raza Khan Sahab, and also the organizer of the program, Faiza Abbasi. I don't know whether she is at the moment, uh, and all other dear participants. I did cause a little trouble to you all, yes, because yesterday I had to travel and I could not take the session. But I am happy that Zishan Sahab and Apil Sahab were able to reorganize the session. I hope my voice is clear and yes, Mohit Sahab, you raised hand. You
Mohit
want
sir,
to say
any issue?
something?
No, nothing, just by mistake.
Okay.
Acha, oh, all
Sir,
right.
sir, your
So,
voice is coming.
so thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm very happy to be in this program. I hope what I'm discussing today will make some sense, particularly on the last day of this program. Actually, this national education policy is about many things. And for a long time, we believe that there are three challenges that higher education faces in our country, and not only in our country, in almost all countries. They passed through this phase, and these challenges was to expand higher education system, to accommodate the demand for higher education, to make the higher education system equitable, because without equity, the purpose is not served, and make higher education of quality and excellence. So these challenges of triple E, we believe, could be addressed through funds, faculty, and freedom. Adequate funds to create needed infrastructure, higher human resources. We needed faculty because without faculty, despite all technological advancements, the higher education's purpose cannot be served. And then freedom, it has been a well-established notion that universities need academic, administrative, and financial autonomy to take their own decisions. Of course, lately there have been some countries which showed that even without freedom, it is possible to attain excellence. China was cited as an example, but many people said that what is sustainable is the freedom for the development of higher education. But there was a little divergent view on the issue, and many people said, and I agree to that view, that if you provide all the funds, all the faculty members, and all the freedom to universities, unless your governance, leadership, and administrative and managerial systems and processes are robust, you are not likely to attain excellence. So I agree with this. So that becomes the fourth dimension. And I think during the course of this uh, faculty development program, you must have seen many dimensions of the leadership, management, and governance. Today, I'm going to cover one dimension, that having people and system in place is one thing, but ensuring that they operate with ethics, with integrity, and with commitment is something that is needed, because without that, you can have an admission policy, but if ethics and integrity is not there, you can end up taking bad admissions, hiring poor quality faculty, and so on. And luckily, there are two documents which were drafted by some committees in the University Grants Commission and which were circulated, but somehow these two documents are least talked about. So I'm going to talk about these two documents, and let me share my screen. So So am I able to, are you able to see the screen now? Zishan sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So these two documents, they were named as Moolya Pravah 1 and Moolya Pravah 2. They came with a gap of almost 2 years, one after another. But I personally believe that the Moolya Pravah 2, let us make a beginning, because Moolya Pravah 2 is largely based on Moolya Pravah 1, and there are some additions. So Moolya Pravah is about value. And the UGC's document talks about, as I mentioned, that one document came in 2019 and another document has come in 2024. And it talks about the importance of ethics and integrity in the management of university system, in the conduct of people involved in the governance and leadership of universities. Of course, there are many bases for the values, ethics, and integrity and honesty. But this document has chosen to uh, base their argument on the basis of the ancient Indian ethos. And what does these ancient Indian ethos, and we are all familiar, we were all taught in our schools, that one should always be truthful. So, Satya, one should never tell a lie. Dharma, which is not religion, which is righteousness. Peace, that is Shanti. Prem, that is love and empathy. Karuna, that is care for others or compassion. Ahimsa, non-violence. India has been, in fact, actually a guru in the matter of non-violence. And these two values, which perhaps has not been taught much about earlier, but now it is part of the document, and that has also been from the Indian ethos. That was the sacrifice. A student and teacher must sacrifice in order to gain something, and the service to the community and service to the nation. So these are the foundations of this Mulya Pravah document, and it is on the basis of these that they are talking about that the university governance must be based on these factors and these phenomena. Before I come to actual practice and the issues that these documents highlight, let me also say that in addition to the ancient Indian ethos, there are also contemporary thinking about the values in our conduct. We are all taught that we live in democracy, and in democracy, we are all citizens first, and then we occupy any other positions or any other office after. And therefore, one should be a good citizen first. So citizenship value is very important. And what does this citizenship value talks about? I think many of the things that I mentioned before. Khalid Nazir Saab, perhaps your mic is giving some trouble. Yes, please. Thank you. So, Khalid Nazir Saab, can you hear us?
मैंने कर दिया.
Kindly.
Dear
mute
participants,
yourself.
please be careful.
So, no, I will finish my lecture in 1 hour, and then there will be time for question answer. So kindly note down your questions, and at that time there will be plenty of opportunities. So I was saying that the contemporary thinking emphasizes on citizenship value. And what makes a good citizen? A good citizen is the one which takes care of all other fellow citizens and is realizing that the rights of the citizens are his duty and his rights are the duties of the other citizens. And then the Constitution of India provides detail that what are these rights and duties. So we ought to be a good citizen, meaning a good neighbor, meaning a good teacher, a good colleagues. And here all the definition of the good would take care on the basis of these values that this document talks about from the ancient Indian ethos. Second thing is that we live in a modern society, and our constitution also had emphasized that we should develop scientific temper. So we should not be guided by superstition, we should not be guided by dogmas. Rather, as a society, we should be guided by scientific temper. And not only individuals, but also institutions should also be guided by this ethos. One of the values that the contemporary global constitutions emphasize is human rights. Human rights are all the guarantees that the World Convention and individual constitutions of countries have given to their people for their safety, for the rights of the livelihood, for the peace, prosperity, and everything. So it is the human rights that is being emphasized, and our education system should be based on these human rights. And now remember, the universities are a culmination of three stakeholders: teachers, students, and non-teaching staff, and also on the top of it, supervising the governance. They all comprise of people, and each of them, being human, have their own rights. So you cannot say that we will work only for the right of teachers, but will not take care of the rights of his students or vice versa. Another value that is started from old time and has been explained in a slightly different context in India is the secularism. The original meaning of the word secular was that you are not religious. The state doesn't have its own religion. But in India, it is the respect for all religion at the same time. So this is also a value that needs to be highlighted. So, and that should be part of or incorporated. So it may not be specifically mentioned, but tangentially you would see that you won't be able to follow ahimsa unless you are respectful of all other religions. Because if you are hateful of other religions, or then you would commit violence, and that is not acceptable. And above all, the contemporary approaches talk about that everyone must respect diversity, or the university leadership in particular must respect diversity. There are strong bases. All humans, all individuals are unique in some ways or the other. In their appearance, in their language, in their beliefs, in their religion. And if you want everybody to be like you, that is an impossibility, and that is the source and the root cause of conflict. And therefore, the university leadership and governance must respect all kinds of diversity. 2-3 diversities: gender diversity, religious diversity, we are more familiar, but the linguistic diversity, the diversity of appearance, the diversity of the views, all of these things should be included. So I think when we are talking about values and integrity, we should take the old Indian ethos and also the contemporary approaches. Now, having known about these backgrounds, let's see that how can we ensure that these values are inculcated amongst people of the country and also those who are occupying various positions. One approach is the right-based approach, that you emphasize that these are the rights and the state and all others must work in such a manner that the rights of other people is not adversely impacted or impinged. Lately, you saw in India that there were many laws that were brought in which were on the basis of this right approach. Like you had Right to Information Act, Right to Education Act. So you gave these rights by law to people to ask for information and to provide them quality education. So right to livelihood, so you had Narega and other things. So that was the right-based approach. In fact, this is one of the basis of the law, that you empower people to demand for their rights and make states responsible for providing those rights or for ensuring those rights. So right to livelihood is that the state should ensure that nobody is adversely affected by anybody's conduct, whereby somebody's livelihood, somebody's freedom, somebody's basic necessities are adversely impinged. The other approach could be that instead of emphasizing on rights, you emphasize on duties. That you make people realize that you must not ask what others should do about it, but you should ask yourself that what should I do for my country, for my fellow citizen, for my... Lately, we are seeing in India that we are moving from rights approach to duty approach. And that is reflected by various symbols as well. So like presently you see these new official complexes that are coming in Delhi, they are all buildings where the government offices would sit. They are named as Kartavya. Uh, various names. So this whole street is called as Kartavya Path, and then all the buildings are named after Kartavya. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, but we must remember that these rights and duties are two sides of the same coin. And if we emphasize on the rights, the duties would automatically become imminent. And if we emphasized on duties, the rights of the citizens would be ensured. So having given all of these backgrounds, now let us come to this Mool Prava document, which highlights or which artifies some of the unethical practices that we often find in higher educational institutions. And the document emphasizes that these unethical practices need to be stopped. Let me show you the whole list taken from that document. So they say that we often find, and believe, I must also clarify that when they were writing these documents, they were having in mind essentially the public funded institutions. So many of these things are specifically applied to institutions. So some of the examples that they have listed, that if the institutions have, Priyanchal, could you please mute yourself because it's a disturbance. Okay. So, like one example that they are giving is favoritism in hiring, meaning compromising merit in selection, recruitment, and hiring of the teachers and the non-teaching staff. They very adversely affects and comment on the leadership, management, and governance of higher education institutions. Similarly, favoritism in training people, and what kind of favoritism that could happen? Favoritism, and the opposite word is bias. So you can say bias, and what could be the bias? Supposing some people are provided an opportunity to train and develop themselves, other people are denied of this opportunity. So supposing the administration says that, okay, X is permitted and Y is not, then that kind of things are found. I'm sure that the UGC must have had some basis of writing this. Similarly, favoritism in pay and promotion. Most of the time, this has been discussed that, okay, you have many types of recruitment and different types of people who are recruited. They are paid different salaries for doing the same jobs. So they say that that cannot be okay. Similarly, if you are biased against somebody in giving promotion or increasing pay, then the leadership, management, and governance is affected. In general, sometime as a group, it is seen that, okay, women may be paid less than men. So the gender discrimination in pay and promotion is also found. So the UGC says that these practices need to stop. Of course, we are all very familiar. All campuses these days have a display board, signboard that sexual harassment is unacceptable, is punishable offense. So seeking favor or harassing somebody for giving something and seeking some favor from persons of the same sex or opposite sex, or discrimination on the basis of gender. Then importantly, if a university administration takes an inconsistent view on discipline. What do we mean by inconsistent view of discipline? So if somebody does not follow the rules of the university, we become very strict, take strong action, while the other people, if they commit a similar kind of offense, you ignore. It means the university administration is not consistent in its approach to curbing discipline. And this applies to not only discipline, to in fact corruptions, to conduct, to everything. So the expectation is that the university administration will have to be consistent in its approach to ensuring that all people perform their responsibilities in an ethical manner. One very obvious things that we see in public institutions, and it is listed here in this document, that supposing somebody who is in charge of purchases and procurements make some personal arrangement with the vendor for some personal gain. That in fact is a loss to public exchequer of the university resources, and therefore it is an unethical practice. Rather, it is a crime and offense. Then there are, let me also say, I think when I mentioned the inconsistent view on discipline, at that time I also highlighted that if you are overlooking non-performance, meaning you don't mind if some people are not taking classes, and at the same time you are very strict against some people who are found guilty of the same offense, then you are overlooking non-performance and you are inconsistent about ensuring discipline and conduct. Corruption in decision making. Corruption is one broader term, which means that if you are not working the way you are supposed to work, so it is your duty to take classes and you miss the classes, that is also a corruption. You are supposed to be in office, you are not in office, that is also a kind of corruption. So don't think that corruption means only the financial give and take, or only when somebody charges money for giving you what is already due to you. Those things are indeed corruption, but corruption also enters into those domains which are non-financial, where somebody is derelicting its responsibility. That is also corruption. This point is further emphasized when I said that favoritism in the hiring, etc. And so this is one thing, but besides the favoritism, there could be many ways in which merit could be neglected by the university administration, and that needs to be stopped. So if your selection has a basis other than the merit, so if the basis is you are biased against some religion or for some religion, you are biased against some type of people or biased in favor of some type of people, and you ignore merit and you select those kinds of people, or you take those kinds of decisions, then the ethics and integrity is violated. Now, in our conduct, in university conduct, ensuring confidentiality is has been highlighted by this document. Many people have said, this binds everybody to maintain and not to speak in public about certain things that they observe in an institution, which Some people take a view that it is not right. If you see that your institution or some other institution is taking certain decisions which is harmful uh, to, say, to the climate or to the education or to the knowledge or for the purpose for which the university is established, then in many countries the laws have been brought in which is called as whistleblower laws, that you are given protection uh, against action, because employer always expect you to be discreet and to be confidential about various matters which you are privy to know. But if you tell to people that okay, something wrong is happening here, uh, then you are not committing any offense. So about this issue there are two conflicting views. And then it says that all organizations must act with transparency. And in fact, the confidentiality and the transparencies are the two opposite sides. So on the one hand, we emphasize that we ought to be transparent in our affairs. So whatever we do, and you must have seen a number of things that there are disclosure norms, know your college portal kind of a things, know your university. So all essential details must be given. There are many laws that okay, the prospectus must detail all facilities and all fees, etc., and the institution should not go beyond that in that academic sessions. So these are the matters of the utmost transparency. So if you, on the one hand, if you are insisting that you have to be transparent, then this argument of the confidentiality in our decision making loses some of its importance. Now, if these things happen in an organization, so how does it affect an institution? So, and it would affect our policy, planning, and administration, because then we will not be merit conscious, we will not be maintaining transparency, and so on and so forth. It would adversely impinge on the regulation. By regulation, we means the institutions which are above the university, which have taken upon themselves to control, to direct, to regulate higher educational institutions. So all regulatory bodies and the professional bodies, it should be expected that they would follow ethical practices, because talking about universities following ethical practices would only be the half of the story. But if the institution above are not following those principles, then the universities would not be ethical. So it means that this applies to UGC, AICT, all other councils. I mean, there is a whole long list of 17, 18 of them. Similarly, all of these values, we are not talking to be followed by only employees, but also by the top management leadership of the universities. So vice chancellors, registrars, deans, they are all, everybody is leader in that capacity. In the decision making, because governance and leadership is different, leadership is an idea of an individual. Governance is the collective decision making that you have in universities. So like you have your governing council, you have your executive council, you have your academic council. So all of those bodies collectively they comprise of individuals. So they must also follow those values that we have highlighted, that if those values or opposite of that has been given, and the idea was that you follow, you do not do that, and you follow right conduct. So that will apply to governance. Also, the administration, the difference between the governance and administration is that the individuals who are responsible for implementing the decisions taken by the leaders and the governing bodies, university authorities. So, like registrar, finance officer. It would also include probably the deans and the heads of the departments. And then the day-to-day management. There are large number of people involved in the day-to-day management, and starting from right from the gatekeepers to cleaning staffs and going up the hierarchy. So violation of ethics and integrity in these forms would have implication for all of these people, and all of these activities would get vitiated. And therefore, what is the prescription that the UGC makes? Yes, Anas, you raised hand. Anas, you raised hand. Want to ask something?
I think it is by mistake, sir.
Okay. So, UGC says that let the university system, and when I say university system, it could mean all the regulatory bodies. So it could apply to UGC and ministry as well, that all institutions must work with integrity. Now, all of these terms have been taught to us when we were children and we were in schools. Those in social sciences, these terms are referred to again and again. They have wide connotation. For example, the term integrity is often used, but what does it mean? It essentially means that you do what is expected from you to be done. And if you do it in the letter and the spirit, then you are person of integrity. And that is reflected in many varieties of ways. For example, आप ये कहते हैं कि करनी और कथनी में अगर फर्क है, तो इसका मतलब you are not acting with integrity. Integrity would mean that you are working, you are doing what you are preaching to others. Trusteeship, I think this idea you can understand very well if you read Mahatma Gandhi, that each one of us who are working with other people's money or other people's faith and confidence in us, then we are essentially a trustee of their faith, of their funds, of their expectation, and we should work in the larger interest of those people. So say, for example, if we are a public university, so all the money that comes to public universities, they come from the taxpayers' people. So the vice chancellors, registrars, finance officers, all those who are responsible, executive council, they are trustee of the people's fund, and they should work in the larger interest of those people. So I think this emphasizes on the honesty. This emphasizes on the integrity of other people. Important enough that we should work for harmony and in harmony, meaning a harmonious relationship between various stakeholders in the university all time is extremely important, because if harmony is not there, then the peace would not be there, security would not be there, and if these things are not there, the academic environment would get vitiated and people would not be able to engage in teaching and research and learning on the campus. Similarly, accountability. There are two things I initially mentioned, autonomy or freedom. But the autonomy and freedom does not mean freedom to do whatever you want to do. The autonomy and freedom means freedom to do what is expected from you to do. So as a teacher, I need freedom, but freedom not to go to class, but the freedom to go to the class. And since I am expected to teach effectively such that the students learn, and to be able to do that, whatever method, etc., I want to follow, that should be the freedom. The other side of the freedom is the accountability. So if you have the freedom to do something, so other people have expectation, and therefore you are liable to explain to them that you have done your job, and this is the idea of the accountability. Now, there could be many approaches of accountability. One approach is accountability by procedure, that an institution could explain or could give you a list as to what would you do. So a standard operating procedure is established, and then individuals are assessed according to those, whether they followed the standard operating procedures or not. So this is one approach of accountability. In many organizations, we see that being followed. In academic institution, it is often said but not implemented, perhaps because of certain difficulties, that to ensure accountability in terms of outcome. So don't make me accountable as to how do I teach, but hold me accountable as to what happens to my students. Do they pass in examination? Do they progress in the next class? Do they get jobs? Do they become good citizens of this country and the world citizen? So these are the accountability by outcome or accountability by procedures. So when these days you are seeing things that, okay, now the outcome-based learning. So what is happening is that rather than following the procedure-based things, you now want to go for an outcome-based accountability. So this is being emphasized under the current context. Important but often neglected, and the UGC rightly emphasizes that we should try to make the system inclusive. There are 2-3 ideas and concepts that we often follow. One idea is about equality. Equality is that treat everybody as equal. Give everybody an equal opportunity. The other idea is equity. Equity means that those who are weak, give them a little more than those who are strong. So equity is not exactly equality, but equity is a method to attain equality. So say, for example, if there is a rich person, if there is a poor person, if you treat them both as equal, so the rich will remain rich and the poor will remain poor. So if you have an equity policy through your taxation, etc., you will try to make that rich person a bit poorer and that poor person a bit richer, so that in due course of time, we attain a kind of equality between them. So that is the idea of equity. Inclusiveness goes beyond this equality and equity, and that would mean that you are trying to make a society which is accommodative of all differences and diversities, and it caters to all, irrespective of any kind of negative discrimination. Mind you, the Constitution prohibits discrimination, but the negative discrimination, the Constitution allows you to positively discriminate in favor of the weak, in favor of the vulnerable. So an inclusive society is that you treat men and women to work together, to study together. Inclusiveness is that those who are not I mean, who are challenged either physically or mentally or economically, they are also provided an opportunity. So the system should be promoting inclusivity or inclusiveness. These values also identify on commitment. I mean, teaching with commitment and teaching for the sake of teaching, these are two different things. Studying with commitment and just coming to college are two different things. Saying that, okay, we will do this and not doing this shows that your commitment, you are not meeting your commitments. So I think the university governance and leadership should demonstrate active commitment to principles of ethics and integrity. This should be based on respect for everyone in the system. Koi chota nahi, koi bada nahi, you should be treated. We often unmindful keep on treating those who are doing some jobs which you think is inferior, you treat them in a different manner than the person who are above you, while the constitution treats everybody as equal. So whether the person is cleaning employees or a lab officers or a very senior officers, they all deserve to be treated with respect. Institutional belongingness, that is an important concept in the sense that, I mean, the difference could be that if you live in a house, to that house, any harm to that house. Because causing harm to the house would amount to causing harm to yourself. But supposing you are living in a rented house and you can say that, okay, whatever happens to this house, that is not my problem, that is the problem of the owner. It means you are not having a sense of belongingness. So in case of the tenant and landlord relationship, it would be emphasized in the agreement that you will have a sense of belongingness to that house. So you will take care of that property as much as if this property belonged to you and you were the owner. So that happens to an institution also. So the institution's furnitures are supposed to be your own furniture. The buses of the universities or the cars of the universities are supposed to be your own cars. So you will take care of these infrastructure facilities in such a manner that you don't deliberately cause harms, damage to these properties, thinking that they belong to the university and I have paid my fees or I get only my salary. Why should I bother about these things? So it means you are lacking in the belonging. These days, all decision makings are emphasized to be sustainable. Now, the word sustainability earlier used to be that whether in the long term we shall remain viable, but now the term sustainability is used largely in the context of the climate and the environment and the larger, broader context of human civilization. So now you can simply say that all those sustainable development goals, earlier it was Millennium Development Goal, MDGs, which is now SDGs. So the university governance should also be that it should be aware of the larger responsibilities. And therefore, these days, there are sustainability rankings on all those SDG goals. Sometime in the learning outcomes, you mentioned that what are the sustainable goals that you are achieving through these things. So it is in this larger context that the term has been used, that the institutions of higher education must ensure this. And when I say institution, I repeat, it means the institution as such, the bricks and mortar, and also all the individuals who are part of that institution. And then constitutional values. Whatever are the rights and duties enshrined in the constitution of the country, these must be followed. And not only the constitutional values, but these days we are talking about world citizen or the global citizens. So you have to follow the global citizenship right. It means different countries may have their own constitutions, but then still there are some human values which are common across all countries. You will not be rude to any others. So constitution may specifically not right, but then it is considered to be a value which need to be followed, so on and so forth. And therefore, the UGC in its document says that now there's the practical dimension, that all institutions must adhere, must follow their act, statutes, ordinances, and regulations and bylaws. Acts is given by the state assembly or the parliament. The statutes are framed by the universities but require approvals. Ordinances and regulations also can be framed by the universities. So universities have freedom to do this. But whatever are written there, now the university governance, leadership, and management is required to follow them, what the Act and these documents mention. And when we say that the university should follow, it means right from the chancellor to vice chancellors to officers to officials and all members of the statutory bodies. And statutory bodies I mentioned, the Senate and the syndicate or the university court or the executive academic council, board of studies, they all must follow. In fact, in many acts of the universities, one of the primary responsibilities mentioned of the vice chancellor is to ensure that the act, statutes, and ordinances of the universities are implemented in the right earnest. I mean, one is the implementation in letter, but then they are supposed to ensure that they are mentioned in letter and spirit. The second thing is that the universities must comply with the rules and regulations of the government. So this document says this. It means there is a little conflict between this and the other one, because rules and regulations of the governments are made while the universities have been created by act of parliament or state assemblies. But by saying this, we are trying to circumscribe the powers of the universities given in the act. But now it has almost become a norm that UGC guidelines, UGC regulations, ministries notification, the state government's notification, they become binding on the university, while their act might be saying that they are empowered to design their own decision-making processes. But anyway, so this has been highlighted. To act in the best interest of the institutions. I think this says it all. Whatever decision I take, whatever policies I make, we should keep that the ultimate beneficiary must be the institution. So I should not be working in my own personal interest, but I should always be working in the interest of the institutions and the long-term interest of the institution, not the short-term institutions. Now look at the UGC expects different stakeholders to do or to act in certain manner in order to comply with this Mulya Pravah. So about the teacher, it says that teachers shape the character of the students. They are the role models. They must set examples of good conduct and character. And the teachers must also be abide by the provision of the Act and statutes. And then it says that act as a role model. This document says that the dress and the way they speak and the way they conduct themselves, they all should be worth emulating. So these are the things which are highlighted about teachers. From the staff and students, they say that they should be supportive of the administration. Many people challenge this, that if administration is not ethical, then why should they support them? But then it assumes that if administration is ethical and working in the best interest of the university, the staff and student must support. And then everybody has the right to raise issues, but raise issues in a dignified manner. Just yesterday, I was seeing some that how do the British raise complaints. So they are never rude, they don't raise voices. Rather, they are using understatement and become effective in getting their grievance and complaints redressal. So it is all about the procedure. So this should not be treated to quell the rights of stakeholders, but also to strengthen. Finally, the real challenge is not in developing a document like this, but the challenge is from where this to begin. Should this begin from top down or should it move from bottom up? So who should be ethical first? The top brass of the university, or the minister or the UGC chairperson first, and then the universities, and then the students, and then the teachers? Or should the students or people become ethical first and then gradually everybody else would become ethical? I think the real challenge is about resolving this issue, and I think it requires a commitment that the ethical conduct flows from top to bottom, and therefore all the top people must demonstrate their commitment to ethics and integrity. Another challenge is preaching ethics and integrity and the value systems are easy than practicing them. So I can go to my class every day and give a lecture that if it is important to be punctual, it is important to be regular, and the student must submit their assignments in time, the student must be sincere, must be committed, all of these things. But if I myself go to classes late, then what would the students follow? They heard me saying that you should never be late in the class. And what they see is that I'm coming myself late in the class. People would believe more what they see through their eyes rather than what they hear from their ears. So the real challenge of implementing this document is how to practice what is being preached, and that has to be by demonstration, not by lecture. And finally, how to walk the talk. I mean, they are all the same variants of saying the same thing, that those who are preaching these values must practice them. They must walk, they must demonstrate what they have spoken or what they are preaching to others. So this document, I believe, is an important document, emphasizes on good conduct with high moral values, integrity, honesty, commitment, and these are necessary conditions for ensuring and improving quality and excellence in higher education institutions. So I'll stop here, and now the floor is open for discussions. All right. So over to you, Zishan Saab.
Yes, sir.
So now it is up to people to ask question, comment, clarify.
Dear participants, now the floor is open for the discussion and the queries. You are requested to discuss if you want to discuss anything.
और
हेलो।
लेक्चर हमारा अंग्रेजी में था, लेकिन मुझे 3 ज़बानें आती हैं, उनमें से किसी में भी आप लोग
जी जी जी
बात कर सकते हैं, अंग्रेजी, हिंदी, उर्दू. तो प्लीज, आई वुड लाइक टू लर्न फ्रॉम यू. प्लीज स्पीक.
participants, hello. am I audible? आवाज आ रही सर? हेलो.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
हाँ जी 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 जी. आप प्लीज क्वेश्चंस जो आपके हों प्लीज पूछिए.
कोई एक साहब शुरू कर दे, फिर बाकी लोग धीरे धीरे आ जाएंगे.
जी जी जी. सर मैं ही शुरू कर देता हूँ.
जी जरूर.
जी 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 जी. सर जैसे आजकल जो हमारा सिनेरियो है जिसमें कि एनईपी का इम्प्लीमेंटेशन अब हमारे एकेडमिक्स में हम लोग हर कोर्सेज में कर रहे हैं. तो इसके हेलो. तो सर इसमें एक जो इशू जैसे कि हमारे सामने है कि जैसे कि क्रेडिट ट्रांसफर और इस तरह जिसमें कि कॉन्सेप्ट है कि कॉमन मिनिमम सिलेबस सिस्टम का एक प्रोविजन होना चाहिए जिससे कि बच्चों को एक यूनिवर्सिटी से दूसरी यूनिवर्सिटी मूव करने में आसानी हो. तो सर इसमें इसकी फिजिबिलिटी के बारे में सर अगर कुछ थोड़ा सा आप बताएं कि आप मतलब क्या सोचते हैं कि वेदर हाउ मच इट इज फीजिबल. क्या ये इसको अडॉप्ट करना एज ए यूनिवर्सिटी सिस्टम हम लोग अभी एग्जिस्टिंग सिस्टम में इसको अडॉप्ट अभी कर सकते हैं या कुछ थोड़ा सा हमें ज्यादा इसमें चेंजेस की जरूरत भी पड़ेंगी?
शुक्रिया जिशान साहब. हालांकि ये उस लेक्चर पर सवाल नहीं है, लेकिन एनईपी से मुताल्लिक है और बड़ा अहम सवाल है. देखिए, एक तरफ तो यूनिवर्सिटी की ऑटोनॉमी है, और यूनिवर्सिटी की जो ऑटोनॉमी है उसमें उसका सिलेबस तय करने का और करिकुलर डिजाइन करने का ये हक यूनिवर्सिटी का है. यूजीसी, एआईसीटी और दूसरे इदारे एक मॉडल करिकुला देते रहे हैं, और लेकिन धीरे धीरे अब ये होता जा रहा है डिफरेंट स्टेट्स में कि अब स्टेट गवर्नमेंट जो है वो मिनिमम कॉमन सिलेबस और इन सब के नाम पर एक तरह से सिलेबस भी देने लगे हैं, या उनकी एक ब्रॉड आउटलाइन देने लगे हैं. तो उसूली तौर पे ये जो है बहुत मुनासिब नहीं है. इसका मतलब ये होगा कि सारी यूनिवर्सिटियां एक ही जितनी अच्छी या एक ही जितनी खराब हो जाएंगी. तो जो कुछ अच्छा कर दिखाने की कोशिश जो यूनिवर्सिटियां करना चाहती हैं वो नहीं हो पाएंगी. अब ये मानना कि अगर सिलेबस कॉमन नहीं है तो क्रेडिट ट्रांसफर नहीं हो सकता, मेरा ख्याल ये एक गलत धारणा है. आप ये बताइए कि अभी तक सिलेबस कॉमन नहीं था यूनिवर्सिटी में, लेकिन को कंप्लीट क्वालिफिकेशन को तो हम लोग रिकॉग्नाइज करते हैं.
यस यस सर.
अगर कोई बीए लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी से करके आया, या बीए अलीगढ़ से करके आया, या बीए बनारस से करके आया, या इंटीग्रल से किया उसने, तो फिर आप ये सवाल नहीं पूछते हैं. आप ये देखते हैं कि भाई अगर यूनिवर्सिटी रिकॉग्नाइज्ड है, यूनिवर्सिटी अप्रूव्ड है, तो उनका बीए हमारे बीए के बराबर है और उसको आप एमए में दाखिला दे देते हैं. तो कंप्लीट क्वालिफिकेशन के बारे में हम सवाल नहीं पूछते रहे हैं. अब यहाँ पर बात आ रही है पार्शियल क्वालिफिकेशन को रिकॉग्नाइज करने की. 8 सेमेस्टर का कोर्स था, 8 सेमेस्टर में से 2 सेमेस्टर उसने एक जगह से पढ़ा और किसी तीसरी जगह जा रहा है। अब वहां पर इस तरह के सारे सवालात उठ रहे हैं कि सिलेबस कॉमन था या नहीं था। तो मेरा ख्याल उसको इम्प्लीमेंट करने का तरीका ये है कि भाई हम अपना जो है क्रेडिट मैचिंग का और कोर्स मैचिंग का एक टेम्पलेट डेवलप करें अपनी ऑटोनॉमी को यूज करते हुए, और उसमें वो जो पढ़ के आया है उसके नॉमेनक्लेचर और उसका सिलेबस वगैरह देख लें और उसके हिसाब से देखें कि वो मान लीजिए कि 8 क्रेडिट या 16 क्रेडिट पढ़ के आया है, उस 16 क्रेडिट में से कितने आपके लिए एक्सेप्टेड है वो आप उसको एक्सेप्ट कर लें। ज्यादातर यूनिवर्सिटियां ये फॉलो कर रही हैं।
जी
तो जो काम हम फुल क्वालिफिकेशन के लिए कर रहे हैं वो काम हम पार्शियल क्वालिफिकेशन के लिए भी कर सकते हैं। अगर हमने कॉमन मिनिमम सिलेबस पर इंसिस्ट किया तो इसका मतलब ये होगा कि मुल्क में सिर्फ एक यूनिवर्सिटी होगी और उसके बहुत सारे नाम होंगे, क्योंकि सब यूनिवर्सिटियां एक ही चीज पढ़ा रही होंगी, सब यूनिवर्सिटियां एक ही जैसी रिसर्च कर रही होंगी, जो बिल्कुल मुनासिब नहीं होगी। नंबर एक। दूसरी बात मैं ये कहूंगा कि ये जो क्रेडिट ट्रांसफर और एकेडमिक बैंक ऑफ क्रेडिट, ये कुछ हम लोग उसको एक लेवल पर बहुत ऊपर ले गए हैं। होना ये चाहिए कि हम अपने यहाँ स्टूडेंट को ये इजाजत दें कि भाई वो मिड कोर्स एंट्री कर सकते हैं और उसके बाद फिर आप चाहें तो 4 साल 5 साल के बाद आप आ जाएं और आप उसको करें। तो पहले यहाँ से इम्प्लीमेंट कर दीजिए, फिर दूसरे इंस्टीट्यूशन के लिए इम्प्लीमेंट कर दीजिए। मेरा ख्याल एक बार कंफर्ट जोन बन जाएगा तो ये चीजें होने लगेंगी। लेकिन कॉमन मिनिमम सिलेबस का आइडिया बहुत अच्छा आइडिया नहीं है।
ओके जी जी सर, बिल्कुल सर। मेरा मेरा एक्चुअली क्वेश्चन जो रिलेटेड था वो गवर्नेंस से रिलेटेड ही था कि ये जो
हाँ,
हम एकेडमिक गवर्नेंस को किस तरह से इस तरह से लेके आएंगे। चलिए सर, बहुत शुक्रिया सर, ये अच्छा, बहुत शुक्रिया सर इनपुट के लिए। पार्टिसिपेंट्स, एनी एनी अदर क्वेरी? आई थिंक सर अभी कोई इस तरह की क्वेरी मेरे ख्याल से नहीं है।
नहीं, लेकिन तो ताज्जुब की बात है भाई, 92 लोग हैं और
हाँ
सभी टीचर्स हैं और बड़े अच्छे टीचर्स हैं और बड़े अच्छे इंस्टीट्यूशन से आ रहे हैं। तो कोई सवाल न पूछने का मतलब ये हुआ कि या तो सब समझ में आ गया या कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आया।
जी जी जी
तो जी, कोई साहब तो कुछ अपना कमेंट बताएं, सवाल ना पूछें, अपने कमेंट बताएं, या आपको क्या लगता है कि ये पूरा आइडिया जो है वो मतलब इस पे बातचीत होनी चाहिए नहीं होनी चाहिए?
हेलो।
मेरा ख्याल लोग जो है वो खामोश हैं। तो मैं आपको एक छोटा सा केस आपके साथ शेयर करके और मैं अपनी बात खत्म कर दूंगा। हमने अपने लेक्चर में कई रेफरेंसेस में ये कहा कि डाइवर्सिटी को की रेस्पेक्ट होनी चाहिए।
यस।
उसमें कल्चरल डाइवर्सिटी भी आती है। हमने रिलीजियस डाइवर्सिटी, जेंडर डाइवर्सिटी, लिंग्विस्टिक डाइवर्सिटी की बात की। एक कल्चरल डाइवर्सिटी होती है और कल्चरल डाइवर्सिटी जो है वो अलग अलग कंट्रीज की भी डाइवर्सिटी अलग होती है। तो एक बार एक ब्रिटिश डेलीगेशन चाइना गया, कुछ बिजनेस नेगोशिएशन, कुछ बिजनेस डील्स थे, और डिनर पे उनकी मीटिंग हुई और ब्रिटिश जो है वो अपनी प्लेट जब खाली करते थे तो चाइनीज मेजबान उनकी प्लेट में और खाना सर्व कर देते थे। वो खत्म करते थे तो वो और सर्व करते थे। आखिर में किसी ब्रिटिश ने कहा कि नहीं नहीं, बस बहुत हो गया, बस सब नहीं। इस पे चाइनीज नाराज हो गए। तो अब इसमें से कौन सही और कौन गलत? अंग्रेज सही या चीनी सही? बात यह है कि दोनों जो है वो अपनी अपनी जगह से सही है, क्योंकि ब्रिटिश कर्टसी ये कहती है कि आपने अपनी प्लेट पे जो निकाला है उसको बिल्कुल साफ सुथरा करके खत्म कर दीजिए, ताकि आप ये मैसेज दें कि खाना इतना अच्छा था कि हमने कुछ भी नहीं खाया, सब खा गए। और चाइनीज कर्टसी ये कहती है कि मेहमान को चाहिए कि वो अपनी प्लेट में कुछ खाना छोड़ दे, ताकि ये लगे कि साहब खाना इतना अच्छा था कि हमने भरपेट खाया, अब और खाया नहीं गया, इसलिए छोड़ दिया।
जी
तो अब अगर आप किसी चाइनीज यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ रहे हैं और वहाँ के इस डाइवर्सिटी को आप नहीं समझ रहे हैं, या हमारे यहाँ चाइनीज स्टूडेंट हैं और अगर हम उनकी डाइवर्सिटी को नहीं समझ रहे हैं, तो इसका मतलब ये कि कहीं ना कहीं हार्मनी पर उसका असर पड़ रहा है।
जी
तो ये तो हमने बताया कि रिलीजियस डाइवर्सिटी के साथ साथ ये जो लिंग्विस्टिक डाइवर्सिटी के साथ साथ ये कल्चरल डाइवर्सिटी, ट्रांसनेशनल डाइवर्सिटी भी बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है। ऐसे ही हम लोग एक पर्सपेक्टिव की डाइवर्सिटी पर भी बात करते हैं कि कौन किस पर्सपेक्टिव से और किस वांटेज पॉइंट से देख रहा है। आप जमीन पे एक बहुत बड़ा सा 9 बनाए, जैसे प्रिंट में अंग्रेजी का 9 लिखा जाता है, और एक उस 9 के हेड की तरफ खड़ा हो जाए और दूसरा आदमी उस 9 के टेल की तरफ खड़ा हो जाए। तो जो टेल की तरफ खड़ा हुआ है वो उसे 9 पढ़ेगा, 9 पढ़ेगा, लेकिन जो हेड की तरफ खड़ा हुआ है वो उसे 6 पढ़ेगा।
जी
और दोनों में इस बात को लेके बहस होगी कि ये 9 है या 6 है। बात फैक्ट की है, लेकिन फिर भी एक दूसरे के पर्सपेक्टिव को न समझने की वजह से एक प्रॉब्लम पैदा होगी। तो जो पर्सपेक्टिव की डाइवर्सिटी है, जो पर्सपेक्टिव का डिफरेंस है, आप उसको भी समझिए। हम सब लोग टीचर हैं, इसलिए एक बात हम और कहेंगे कि आपके पास जो स्टूडेंट या उनके पेरेंट्स या आपके जो बॉसेस हैं, उनके साथ जो आपका जो रिलेशनशिप है, वो दोनों रिलेशनशिप आपका तजुर्बा जो इन लोगों के साथ हुआ है उसकी बुनियाद पर तो है ही, साथ में ये भी हो सकता है कि आपके जो तजुर्बात दूसरे लोगों से हुए हैं, उनकी बुनियाद पे आपने कुछ एज्यूम कर लिया है, कुछ स्टीरियोज बना लिए हैं, कुछ प्रिजम्पशंस बना लिए हैं, और आप जब मौजूदा लोगों से बात कर रहे हैं तो उस पुराने तजुर्बों की रोशनी में बात कर रहे हैं। तो अगर पहला तजुर्बा आपका ये है कि जिससे आपने कायदे से सलीके के साथ बात की, उसने आपको धोखा दिया, तो अब आप किसी नए आदमी से मिल रहे हैं, तो अब आप उसको पोलाइटली गुफ्तगू करने के बजाय रूडली गुफ्तगू कर रहे हैं, क्योंकि आपने ये मान लिया है कि अगर मोहब्बत से बातचीत की तो हमारी जेब जरूर काटी जाएगी या मेरा धोखा हो जाएगा। तो ये भी एक पर्सपेक्टिव है। तो जब भी कोई बोल रहा है तो उससे कहें कि तुम ये हमारे मामलात के हिसाब से बोल रहे हो, या जो तुम्हारे पुराने तजुर्बात हैं वो बोल रहे हो। जो तुम्हारे पुराने तजुर्बात हैं उसकी जिम्मेदारी तो हमारी नहीं हो सकती।
जी
अच्छा, न समझे कि तजुर्बात, बल्कि उसका सोशल इंटरेक्शन है वो भी बहुत अफेक्ट करता है। तो बहरहाल ये बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स हैं, ये अच्छा खासा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड इशू है, लेकिन
जी
ये फैक्ट है कि बगैर एथिक्स और बगैर इंटेग्रिटी के काम नहीं बन सकता।
श्योर सर, बिल्कुल राइटली सेड सर।
तो एनीथिंग एल्स, एनीवन?
Dear participant, if you want to comment anything, please ask quickly. Otherwise, I'll let me close the session. Okay, sir. I think there is no comment or question remaining. Sir, thank you very much. आपने वक्त निकाला और डिस्पाइट ऑफ ट्रैवलिंग आपने इंटरेक्ट किया और ये टॉक डिलीवर किया। सो सर बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। और मैं इंशाल्लाह जो है जब आप कैंपस में आएंगे वापस तो मुलाकात करूंगा। और
आपकी आवाज
सर, am I audible?
जी अब आ गई।
Okay, okay. So thank you very much, sir, for your session. And despite of traveling, you have spared time and delivered this talk. So I am really grateful to you. And So we'll close the session, sir. Dear participant, we will meet again at 4:30 for the last session of Professor Syed Akhil Ahmed, and followed by the valedictory.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.